Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds in the studio on a Tuesday morning. So whether you like it or not, we have a new college baseball champion, and who got the dub?
The Bayou Bengals from LSU, and they did it in convincing fashion. You talk about a turnaround. This is one of epic proportions. The day before, LSU and Florida had played Game 2. It's a best of 3. LSU won the opener in a close extra inning game. The second game on Sunday, Florida won by a record 24-4.
Wow.
So what happened last night? LSU said, all right, you can play that game. They beat LSU, I beg your pardon, beat Florida 18-4. You talk about beatdowns, my goodness sake. 24-hit attack. It was not LSU right from the start. Florida had the lead early in the game on a 2-run homer in the first inning, but it didn't last. LSU's pretty good. They started the year as the number 1 team in America, abdicated that to Wake Forest for much of the season, and then comes back to win the national championship, and that's the important thing. The pitching was thought to be a problem since their ace, Paul Skeens, probably couldn't pitch. So a guy named Thatcher Hurd came on, and all he did was shut down the Florida Gators for 6 innings. Then the relief corps took over. By then, the score was already out of reach anyway. 18-4, LSU national champs.
Man, really exciting stuff. I know we just had the NBA draft, which lasts one day. And the Major League Baseball draft always happens following that. That's coming up pretty soon.
It is, right before the All-Star game, which will be not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. The All-Star game this year is in Seattle. So on the Sunday, which is the last game of the regular season before the All-Star break, they will start the first of the 3-day Major League Baseball draft. It's 20 rounds, but it's expanded to 3 days. Why? TV. Thank you. You've got to have it all on TV. Anyway, it starts on Sunday night, July 9th. That's when the first round will take place. And then the other rounds in ensuing days on Monday and on Tuesday. Pittsburgh Pirates, this is the first time ever that Major League Baseball has had a lottery pick as such. And the Pittsburgh Pirates won that lottery. They'll have the very first choice. And probably 2 LSU players, the aforementioned Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, who had 4 hits and 3 RBIs last night. He'll probably be one of those. A pair of prep players, high school players around the country are thought to be top. And Spencer Nivens from Missouri State.
So I was going to ask you who the local guys that might be going.
Yeah, and Nivens was a great hitter. He's all Missouri Valley Conference. He's a sophomore. And then you think, well, wait a minute. You've got to be in 4-year baseball for 3 years before you're eligible for the draft. Well, he's a redshirt sophomore, which means he's been in college for 3 years. And he'll more than likely get maybe as high as a 3rd or 4th round. He's a very good player. We'll see.
He could still finish off his education, too, at the same time.
He has that choice, sure, but when somebody offers a pretty big paycheck, it's tough.
Yeah, to play a game for the rest of your life, I think I'd take that deal, too. All right, so we did mention the NBA draft, and the guy who went in the first spot is not going to play for his country in the World Cup. Why the hell not? That's
a very interesting choice, too. Victor Wembanyama is thought to be the wonderkind of basketball. He's 7'4". First of all, he's 19 years old. 7'4", he's native to France, but he has been the first choice, and everybody knew he would be, by the San Antonio Spurs of the NBA. Wembanyama, who is mentally mature for 19 years old, he's not physically mature, he's very thin. I'm afraid he's going to get pushed around a little bit in the NBA, but he's a very fine athlete, has a lot of skills. He has said, I'm being paid a lot of money, I'd rather put my diligence into getting ready for my rookie year in the NBA rather than play for my country. I will play for them in the Olympics in 2024. But the World Cup, I think I'd better, since I'm a rookie in the NBA this year, I'd better concentrate on that. Very wise choice.
You think he gets with a personal trainer, try and beef up a little bit, get some mass?
He has to.
Yeah, I know he has to. You think that's the plan? I mean, he's going to have to do something, because you're right.
He's 7'4" now, and he's rail thin. Like, he probably weighs about 215, 220, and when you're 7'4", that's thin. They'll probably get him up to around, they don't want to put artificial bulk on him, like, chocolate sundaes and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I think they'll put him in the weight room and get him up to around 225, 230. But then he will physically mature, and when he does, he'll be a beast.
Be dangerous, very dangerous if he can put on that weight, which is a very tough thing to do. But a guy I played in a band with made a joke one time about him, saying he's probably the best basketball player in the league on a diet of Mountain Dew and Slim Jims.
Not hardly. Not hardly.
So the Cardinals had the day off yesterday after coming back from London. Who they playing tonight?
They're playing the Houston Astros, the reigning World Series champions, in a 3-game series that begins tonight, a very important 3-game series, followed by the New York Yankees coming into St. Louis to play. Here's the deal, in my opinion. The Cardinals are going to have to make a decision somewhere along the line. I think that decision will come either this coming weekend, depending on how they do, or the following weekend when the All-Star break is coming up. This is interesting. Houston hasn't been playing very well, and certainly the Yankees haven't either. These are beatable ball clubs. Cardinals can beat anybody, but they've just got to concentrate and get some pitching help. Well, Houston in a 3-game series. Kansas City is also back playing tonight. They're taking on the Cleveland Guardians up at Kauffman Stadium. And for the Royals, all they want to do is just win some games. They have 54 losses on the year, and this is the halfway point of the season for them. You've got to concentrate on getting better and wait till next year. But the Cardinals-Astros, a lot going. Cardinals begin play 13 games under 500, 13 under 500, but still in contention in the National League Central Division. Very big series of games coming up.
What do you think they're going to do? What are you hearing what the Cardinals are going to do?
I think, again, they have to make a decision maybe as soon as this weekend, depending on what they do in these series coming up with the Astros and the Yankees, but certainly within the next couple of weeks, because the Cardinals are just simply can't waste any more time getting back in. 13 games under 500, and you can't fall too much farther behind and expect to be in contention. Furthermore, there are teams who are questioning the Cardinals now as to who might be available. And I know the Arizona Diamondbacks have been after Jack Flaherty, who, is a 7-year Cardinal veteran, and right now he's injured a little bit, has a hip problem, but nonetheless is a flamethrower who, with a contending team, and the Diamondbacks are a contending team, might do very well. That's just a rumored deal. Nothing has happened yet. We'll have to wait and see, but something has to happen for St. Louis. They've got to either pull the trigger or say, hey, throw up the white flag, one or the other.
When the fans start talking about not spending money on your team, you've got an issue. And also, like when we discussed this last week, not doing anything is also a choice, and I think that's the worst one.
It is.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully they can offload some weight that they don't need. All right, let's talk about some history. 39 years ago today, football world got a little bit of a facelift.
It did. This is the college football world, and this is as it turns out. Who would have thought 39 years later that this episode did exist? But it certainly did. The Supreme Court of the United States told the NCAA, you have a TV monopoly, and you break it up right now. It is null and void. As of this date, college football on TV could be shown by anybody. Now, you're too young to remember when that wasn't the case. I wish I could say I was, but I'm not. It was the deal with the NCAA for college football was one game across the country each weekend. There were several weekends when you could have regional games on, but the NCAA controlled all of it. They picked the games. Of course, Ohio State, Michigan was always one at the end of the season. Army, Navy was always one. These were national games, and they were picked by the NCAA, and you had no choice. No other TV could be. The Supreme Court ended that in 1984, 39 years ago, and now everybody puts their games on TV. There is no restriction. I don't know whether or not that turns out to be a good thing. It certainly has made things convenient for the fans who are now staying away from the games and watching them on TV. But the fact of the matter was, it is now an open door 39 years ago today.
What about with the guy that likes to spread them chocolate chips around over the weekend?
Well, that helps.
Helps you keep your eyes on the game. Either way, Ned, you have a wonderful Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.